Item D, adopt resolution approving installation of a 2-hour time-limited parking restriction zone along Shelter Creek Lane to provide street sweeping access. Clara?
The city is responsible for a comprehensive street sweeping program to keep the city clean and to improve the looks and the feel of the city, and also to prevent trash to enter the bay. To do an effective job with our street sweeping, east of El Camino, the city implemented a mandatory parking restriction during the time of the street sweeping activity. The reason for implementing on the east side is those streets are flat, they are narrow, and with lots of trees. And a volunteer parking restriction program on the west side of the El Camino for those streets are different than on the east side, with 2 special management area on the west side. One of the special management area is the Shelter Creek Lane. The reason for this special management area at that location is that Shelter Creek condominium is one of the highest density in our development in our city, and also Shelter Creek Lane is very narrow and with a very high street parking demand. How is this special program, enhanced program, is implemented now is twice a year. The city will post the mandatory parking restriction, typically in the May, in the spring, and then later in the fall, depend when the tree leaves will fall, just before the first rain will come. And we'll have a mandatory parking restriction during that time in order for the city to be able to do a better job cleaning Shelter Creek up to the curb. The management of Shelter Creek approached the city that they would like a improved program to be implemented on Shelter Creek Lane. Instead of having twice a year mandatory parking restriction, to have a ongoing mandatory parking restriction for the time when the street Shelter Creek will be swept. After consideration of many possible alternatives, staff discussed with TSPC those possible alternatives, and staff recommends implementation of a monthly mandatory parking restriction on Shelter Creek. Right now, Shelter Creek Lane is swept Thursday. To minimize the impact of the overall neighborhood, of the displacement of those cars during a mandatory parking restriction, staff recommends to change from Thursday to Friday to have on a different day the street sweeping on Shelter Creek than in the other neighborhood streets, and to have a mandatory parking restriction implemented first Friday of the month on the west side of Shelter Creek Lane, and a mandatory parking restriction on the east side of Shelter Creek Lane for each third Friday of the month to be able to do a more comprehensive, a better job cleaning Shelter Creek Lane. This ongoing existing program costing us, the city, more than $7,000 a year. This posting the mandatory parking restriction would cost us around one-time $5,000 cost. And due to the fact that changing the day and the street sweeping would happen on Shelter Creek on Fridays instead of Thursday, will increase our ongoing cost with about $1,600 a year. But even with this additional slight increase of the ongoing cost, the overall will be a net cost reduction on ongoing basis for the city. If this recommendation is supported by you, then this program would be implemented in beginning of April, and between now and April, very aggressive public communication and outreach will take place with the residents of Shelter Creek condominium, but also with the neighborhood also, to make sure that everybody is aware of these changes. I have here also Ted Chapman, service manager for street and storm, to help me with any question you might have. This is my presentation. If you have any questions.
Questions to staff, Ken?
Has the Shelter Creek, obviously they brought the issue before us. Have they been apprised of what your plan is and what proposed dates and times that you're proposing? And have they commented?
They are very pleased with the proposal. Was a ongoing communication between staff and the management of the condominium. And this would meet their expectation and their desire.
The dates, the times, the proposed
Yes.
times? And then my other question is, why would there be additional overtime costs? Correct me if I mean, you've explained that the street sweeper is scheduled to go down Shelter Creek, and because there's still cars there, just drives right down the middle of the street. So.
Our routes are calculated in a certain way to minimize the miles traveled for the street sweeper each time. If the street sweeper will sweep the neighboring street, Whitman and Cortland, Thursday, but has to go back to the same neighborhood with a separate trip just to clean Shelter Creek Lane, that will add an additional overall time to the street sweeping activity. That's why, based on our estimate at this time, that will have a slight impact to overall time requirement to finish every herd the street sweeping, and this is our best estimate at this time, that might slightly increase the time needed.
That's $1,700 annual increase?
Annually.
Okay.
You are correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any action on the resolution?
I'll adopt the resolution.
Carol?
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.